Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this September 5th, 2025. I got all your stories for your rush hour ride home. And congratulations to you guys out there. You made it to Friday. I mean, a pat on the back. You wanted to rage quit your job. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Can we get somebody to call in right after rage quitting your job? I mean, that must feel so good. Sure, you lost your health insurance, but who needs it, really? Why have a job that comes with health insurance if that job makes you want to kill yourself? You know what I mean? Live the life you want. Everything else will follow. That's what I say. Leap in the net will appear. On this episode, we will be spitting fire. So many great stories. Again, covering the new aspects of the Blake Lively case. That being Isabella Ferrer. What are they hiding? New court documents may reveal a very specific scope of information they want from her. And the Wayfair parties, Justin Baldoni says, well, we want to crack this book open a little bit more and see what's in the other chapters. We'll get into that. Very fascinating stuff. I'm also going to share about yesterday's what I believe to be very successful Content University live stream. But first, let's dive into some pop culture stories of the day. Darth Vader's lightsaber auction sale sets record for Star Wars item. Nerds. What a nerd. Is that not the most nerd title? I love my nerds. I love a good nerd. What is a nerd? A nerd is just somebody who's part of a community that has a passion for something, right? That's all a nerd is. A nerd is someone who has a passion. I'm a nerd for crushing it on YouTube. I'm a nerd for hair products. I'll talk to somebody. If I make eye contact with you in the hair aisle at the store, I'll talk to you about all the different types of oils we can do with our hair. Come find me. Either way, the coveted prop was used in The Empire Strikes Back in Return of the Jedi and represented a rare opportunity for collectors. You know, I thought we were thinking about what we can do for Halloween costumes this year. Last year, my wife and I dressed up as those little alien things from Toy Story. And our son, who was only several months old at the time, through his consent, of course he consented, dressed up as Buzz Lightyear, Space Cowboy Buzz Lightyear. And it was fantastic. So we want to keep with the Disney Pixar theme. And I was like, well, technically Star Wars is in that universe, right? So maybe our son could be C-3PO. Maybe he could be, and we could be a couple stormtroopers, right? I don't think I'm not going to put my son in it. Although I could just like put him in a Roomba with a giant doma over his head and get a couple blinking lights. Anyhow, I digress. So yeah, congrats on and this is what it's all about, right? Having enough money to buy things that remind you of your childhood. That's all life is. You know, I was speaking with Clayton Echard real quick. He just was interviewed by Megan Fox. Again, not to name drop, I know some bachelors, and some of them hate me, some of them love me. What can you do? You know what I mean? To be loved or hated, it's the same energy. But Clayton, of course, overcame his court case battle against the fake pregnancy scammer. She's now being charged with 7 felony counts. I'm a star witness, blah, blah, blah. But when he was being interviewed by Megan Fox, he said he wants to go relive his childhood. He wants to get his ears pierced and dye his hair blonde and dance. And to the person who's, rigid, who is afraid to try new things, they go gay, right? That's what men, homophobic men just want to tell everyone everything you do is gay, right? And sadly, so many of folks from my generation had dads, luckily I didn't, but had dads that would tell them, don't do that, that's gay, don't dance, don't smile, don't laugh, don't cry, don't show any emotions whatsoever. And what does that turn us into? A bitter shell of who we're supposed to be. Find your inner fucking child, why don't you? He's in there. Go find him. I've spent the better part of my adult life trying to dance like nobody's watching. So maybe that's buying the lightsaber you couldn't afford when you were a kid. Relive those moments. Replay those levels in the video game of life. That's what's so great about having a child, right? Is you can and again, try to do it without projecting onto your kid. My kid must love hockey. It's like, hold on, chill out. Let them live their life. But you get to relive these moments that you might not have had the money, the funds, the resources, or the blessings to live. And for all of those metaphorical nerds out there buying lightsabers at auctions, and now don't waste your kid's college fund on it, but congratulations on living your life. I really do want to pat my generation on the back, millennials. I see so many millennial moms and dads out there really really wrapping their head around what's important in today's world, which of course is to provide for your family, safety, nourishment, all the basics. But what's important to me as I look about like, how can I become a good dad? It's how can I inspire my son to love his family, his friends, but to love life and the moments that we have that bring that life. And that might be the moments after a movie where you get to, grab a stick and, fake fight with your friends after watching Star Wars or whatever the simple things are that exist out there. I hope this weekend, some of you guys get to relive those moments. I really do. Let me know how that goes for you. Quick update. We covered She's All Batch this morning. Going to cover her again. She's All Batch, the podcast She's All Batch was sharing this clip from Nick Viall's podcast. I've really, stopped covering it. We used to kind of like address all of the stupid shit he says, but there's almost just too much now. But Dale Moss was actually defending his ex Claire Crowley after Nick Viall said she demanded to get engaged on The Bachelor. Let's have a listen to this.
Is this the first time you were asked to come back to Bachelor Nation?
Yeah, I was pretty clear. I didn't have a bad experience. Certain things happen.
Unique experience.
Yeah, very unique experience.
I haven't even.
Did you feel shortchanged? that was I don't know how much you've spoken about showing up to a show and then someone demanding to get engaged to you.
So what we're not going to do is slander Claire on my watch. She did not demand anyone get engaged to her. There were 2 people in this relationship. 2 people chose to leave the show together, and Dale agrees with me.
I didn't feel shortchanged on anything. I'll always say if I make a decision or I say I did that by my choice. Claire's in a great relationship. She's got her child, which I'm very, very happy for her.
So there it is. And look, Dale takes the high road, which I don't know if Claire would, but we love Claire. Claire's messy. She'll tell you that. She wears her heart on her sleeve. The relationship didn't work out. Dale kind of was given a choice, right? She really fell for him early on in her season. And the show said, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin the rest of the season. They're not extending their love long enough to make this competitive. So they brought in Tayshia, right? All right. And again, what else can you say about it? Happy for Dale, happy for Kat, happy for Claire, all of them. This is an interesting story I'm about to share. We've got a doctor, I believe a gynecologist right here, saying she's flabbergasted as she responds to a Santa Barbara clinic that went viral because the clinic made videos where they shared, hold on a second, I know it's a little kind of gross here for the podcast, but it shouldn't be, it's your body. But the clinic shared the aftermath of people that had possible discharge after having pelvic exams. Well, we have a big update to share.
Apologists, I wanted to address this viral video from a clinic in Santa Barbara. Some of the staff thought it'd be funny to show the exam table after a speculum or pelvic exam. So first of all, this is beyond unprofessional, unethical. Pelvic exams are some of those vulnerable experiences that people can have in all of healthcare. So patients are really putting their trust in us to put their privacy, comfort, safety as our number one priority, as it should be. Number 2, this is usually not even discharge.
So I had the same thought. Now, I don't attend many gynecologist exams, but I am batting 1,000 of the pregnancy exams that my wife has had to go to. You see the can of they got this like barbecue sized squeezer tube full of lube. You know what I mean? They're just pushing it like they're pesticiding your garden, spraying lube everywhere. I was like, are we at a Diddy party? What's going on? It was a freak off. Are we having a kid or not? And, it of course makes a mess, but it's there to take away any friction that might come from the situation. So you've got this gynecologist completely just disassembling these Santa Barbara folks who shared this video. Now, of course, you might say, well, they didn't share any client information, but the lack of professionalism, it's hard enough to get people to go do the proper exams that they need to do. Well, there's an update to everybody and there was a lot of people in this video in this Santa Barbara clinic. Here is the update I wanted to share with you. Daily Mail reporting urgent care workers fired from clinic over viral TikTok of staff mocking patients. So there it is. Looks like they're all going to be dusting up their LinkedIn pages. Maybe some of them are on the Rush Hour podcast. Not exactly the same as rage quitting. Listen, you learn your lesson, right? Some things are meant for social media, some things aren't. I would err on the side of caution when working in the medical world, right? It's one thing to be like, oh, my Postmates delivery driver messed up my order and left the thing in the wrong driveway. Ooh, it's another when we're talking about people's privates, right? I don't know. Just a thought. All right. Well, I've got a show coming up next weekend in Nashville, Tennessee at a record studio. It is a very small, intimate show. Some of my best comedy friends are going to be on it with me. If you want to get tickets, go to rushhourwithdave.com and then click the calendar icon, and you'll get updates on the show. You can buy the tickets. And if you want to subscribe to the newsletter to get updates on all other shows, I will be sending out messages to you this week. And when you sign up for the newsletter, which again, you can sign up easily by going to rushhourwithdave.com. But when you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get a video from me telling you kind of the reasons behind why I'm acquiring your information. It's not to sell it to anybody. It's because I want to make sure that if this YouTube ever goes away or the algorithm, pushes me out, that I can reach you guys and let you know when I'm performing in your town or have other products I want to offer or new merchandise for the Christmas season and things like that. And also, in my final pitch for you guys is some folks have been asking how to join my private members on YouTube. I'm starting something, I don't know what I'm calling it, Dave Neal University, DNU, or Dave Neal College, DNC. Either way, you can join by going to the homepage. I think you have to do this on your desktop. There's a join button. It's really easy to do. Yesterday, I did my first YouTuber workshop. I think it was really productive. I answered about a dozen questions about how to grow. There's all of these specifics that people don't know about, and I know about them because for 5 years, I've been on the right side of the algorithm after spending many years trying to figure it out. The reach, which is the click-through rate, your impression click-through rate. If you can make videos where people watch over 20%, and that means when YouTube shows, so I literally just go through all of the nitty gritty on how to get your videos recommended by YouTube algorithms and by the way, I don't care if you're in real estate or have a vegan cookie company or are starting a home design channel, a lead generating, and basically anything you do, the YouTube and the internet can help you find new clients and whatnot. You follow a bunch of people that cover mortgage rates and then they say, well, click the link if you want help on getting a better mortgage rate. Provide your audience information. They'll continue to come back to you. And I kind of am teaching people how to do that on YouTube. And I'm not saying all this to be a super salesperson right now. I just think it's, there's a lot of people out there going into 2026 who have great ideas. And I'm telling you right now, your world can change. My world did. Bought a home, started a family, able to afford things I couldn't afford before, traveling the world, and it's all because of you guys, and I appreciate that. All right, coming up next, after our sponsor, which pays the bills, coming up next, I will share with you the court document, the Blake Lively court document that is leaving people wondering, what the heck does Isabella Ferrer know? This story next. All right, here it is. U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. Blake Lively, plaintiff for Wayfair Studios. And here, I'm just gonna read this very short document for you, and we'll get into what it actually means. Plaintiff Blake Lively's amended FRCP initial disclosures. These initial disclosures are based on the information reasonably available to Ms. Lively at this time, are made without waiving any objections as to relevance, materiality, or admissibility of evidence in the action. Ms. Lively reserves the right to revise, correct, supplement, or clarify the disclosures at any time. So these are disclosures. What do they mean? Well, we've got Isabella Ferrer. The hell do you say with that name? Isabella. She's right here, and I'm going to read what is written in the disclosure. The parties' alleged conduct, the sexually discriminating, harassing, and other inappropriate and unwelcome actions, conduct, or comments made during production of the film, complaints or discussions about the work environment or conduct on the set of the film, the production, editing, cut, and creative process associated with the film, efforts taken to market or promote the film, publicity surrounding the film, the retaliation campaign alleged by Miss Lively. So, what does this mean? Now, of course, I'm quick to use ChatGPT because it's smarter than I am. So this is a filing by Blake Lively Initial disclosures are a required step in civil lawsuits under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Each side must share basic information about their case early on, such as possible witnesses, documents, and evidence they may use to support their claims. It helps both sides know what evidence and people might be involved. So this is Blake Lively's side saying, we are going to get Isabella Ferrer involved. This is an amended version, meaning Blake Lively already submitted disclosures earlier, but updated them with new or corrected information. The document stresses that she may update or change the disclosures later. Blake Lively's starter list of evidence and witnesses she might rely on in her lawsuit. So why is this important? Well, when we go to the comment section, this is what people are saying. Blake amended disclosure has been unsealed. She claims Isabella has information on sexual harassment and other inappropriate actions on set during production, editing, cut promotion, and retaliation campaign on Blake Lively. But Blake Lively's subpoena to Isabella only asks for information during production of film, while Wayfarer's subpoena wants communication till promotion. If she really is Blake's witness, why won't she want to help her with her case unless she doesn't want to perjure herself? This could be people on the Baldoni side's wishful thinking, to think that Blake wants Isabella how it's convenient to Blake, but for nothing more. But if you're going to introduce Isabella to this case, if Blake wants Isabella to talk, Isabella's going to have to share her full truth. Someone commented, Isabella wouldn't know whatever Blake fed her during her love bombing extravaganza. Remember, Blake had control over young Lily's sex scenes. I'm sure she and Ryan dissected it and found whatever they could to twist and misrepresent, and then convinced Isabella that Justin was being inappropriate. Absolute psychos. Again, whatever information happened during those scenes, Blake Lively alleged that Justin Baldoni was making passes, coming onto, being inappropriate with an underage character. Now, that's the initial claim Blake Lively made, that it was an underage character, which sounds disgusting. Then you realize Isabella's in her mid-20s. Now, the question becomes, was Justin Baldoni trying to coach Isabella to have a romantic scene? And if you're doing that, what terminology would you use to coach an actor to say, yeah, you guys are doing great. This is super romantic. You know, Blake says that Justin was saying that she was hot and all these other things. There was even a fake HR complaint that alleged, and again, who knows where the hell this HR complaint came from, although some think it came from a TikTok psychologist who's on Blake's team, which would be wildly inappropriate. You would think you would lose your psychology license if that was the case. But a fake HR complaint alleged that Isabella had to redo her makeup because Justin was talking so close to her. It was smudging her makeup. Again, there was no real evidence that that was the case. So it's not what happened during the production that necessarily matters, although that does matter. It's what happens afterwards. Is there information that Isabella was coached by Blake to act a certain way? Will that come out by Wayfarer's side? Isabella could be, just like Taylor Swift could be, the catalyst to decide this going one way versus the other. It's very fascinating stuff. All right, we're going to jump into, normally on the afternoon episode, I divide this up into separate videos. We're going to do it all in one right now because there's just so much to get into. But we've got several instances of the Epstein story, which is, by the way, this is a very fascinating story. Of course, it involves one of the biggest cover-ups in the history of our government, if not the biggest cover-up. And now we're finding out that mega donors and key fundraisers were in Jeffrey Epstein's black book. What does this mean? I'm going to share what Rep. Massey has to say, the Republican from Kentucky. Then we're also going to share what other officials, the deputy chief of the DOJ, had to say about how the government was redacting Republican names but not Democrat names. They got this guy dead to right. They got him saying this, thought he was saying it privately. This is wild information, folks. Here, let's have a listen.
Well, let me give you the name of one of the billionaires who's running $2 million of ads in my district since I started this effort. His name is John Paulson. He's a hedge fund manager and a major donor to the Republican Party, a major donor to the Speaker of the House, a major donor to the president's campaign, and he's in Epstein's black book. Now, that's public, but that's indicative of the types of people who may be implicated or just embarrassed by a completely release.
So there it is. I mean, this is wild. Now look, anyone who's putting money into getting a congressman or senator removed should be looked into and audited here. You shouldn't, it just shouldn't, our system shouldn't be set up so that a rich person can spend more money than somebody else. That means their voice is more important, and it just shouldn't be that way. Now, here's the DOJ Deputy Chief, Joseph Schnitt. He was caught on a hidden camera saying the government will redact every Republican from the Epstein files and leave only the Democrats. Again, this is a real-life thing that happened, and this is ridiculous. Anybody who's in the Epstein files and has done something that is illegal or alleged to be illegal should pay the price. I don't care if it's Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. I've said this over and over and over. They all should pay a price regardless of political affiliation. But if you're going to start redacting all the Republicans, that's absolutely insanity.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files.
And they visited that Maxwell person?
Yeah.
And also involved?
Got transferred to a minimum security prison too recently.
Oh.
So mentioning that Ghislaine Maxwell got transferred to a minimum security prison, again, she's a violent criminal. So they go on and...
Which is against BOP policy because she's a convicted sex offender. They're offering her something to keep her mouth shut.
They're offering her something to keep her mouth shut. So this is being presented by Project Veritas. And again, this is information everybody should have access to. It's going absolutely viral right now. You've got the deputy, you got this high up member of the DOJ admitting that what they're doing is illegal by putting Ghislaine Maxwell in a minimum security prison. They call it Club Fed, right? It's like a spa treatment compared to these other prisons. She's a hardened criminal. She's the only person who's been arrested in association with Epstein. Of course, he offed himself, allegedly, although the Department of Justice has released the security footage that doesn't line up. There's missing minutes. I mean, folks, I'm telling you this right now. I know there's a lot that needs to be settled here and uncovered. We are witnessing. You thought Watergate, some of these other cover-ups were big, in the history books. This is the biggest cover-up in the history of our very young country.
Acting Deputy Chief of the Office of Enforcement Operations, Joseph Schnitt, telling a stranger about the FBI and DOJ's handling of the Epstein files. Schnitt, who works at a high level inside the Department of Justice, goes on to comment on the inconsistent statements, special treatment of Ghislaine Maxwell, and the blatant backtracking on promises of transparency.
And what do you do for work again?
I work for the Department of Justice.
Okay.
Been there like 23 years. I'm an analyst. I'll be acting deputy chief of our office for a few months starting next week.
I want to know how this lady got this man to spill the beans. Was it the cleavage? You know what I mean? She got some cleavage, and then all of a sudden he's like, I got to get some of that. And then he starts spilling the details. Yeah, I've been with the DOJ for 23 years. This just goes to show how men specifically are so unreliable in keeping a secret. Again, I think he's, what is he on a Tinder date with somebody here? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to break the biggest cover-up scandal in the history of our country. Why? Because I'm trying to get some of that strange.
Work closely with all the federal law enforcement agencies, the U.S. attorney's offices, the prosecutors and stuff. The thing is, it's interesting because I do deal with so many of the agencies.
All right, so he's bragging about dealing with all the agencies. And again, I'd love to hear more from Joseph Schnitt. Schnitt, he's up Schnitt's Creek. Up Schnitt's Creek without a paddle. All right, here it is. And by the way, what can you do, President Trump calls the New York City mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, a communist. I don't think you can win unless you have one-on-one. So he wants Governor Cuomo, former Governor Cuomo, who's a Democrat, he wants him to go one-on-one versus Mamdani because you've got Eric Adams, the sitting mayor, and others in the race. Now, Mamdani wiped the floor with Cuomo, won by a large margin in the primary, and now you've got the President of the United States wanting former Governor Cuomo, who's in a very elite political family, to win against Mamdani, calls Mamdani a communist.
No, I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that. And I don't think you can win unless you have one-on-one, because somehow he's gotten a little bit of a lead.
Somehow he's gotten a little bit of a lead. He's gotten that lead because he's speaking to the people about tangible ways to lower prices, tax the ultra wealthy, provide affordable food, and to call Zoran Mamdani a communist is rich, coming from Trump, whose administration just purchased 10% of Intel. If the Democratic Party was purchasing 10% of the largest tech company, or one of the largest tech companies, the other side would claim communism out their asshole. Now, the reason he's claiming it against Zoran Mamdani is because Mamdani wants to open up several test grocery stores to provide affordable food to people, because they claim that the bodega industry and different unions have jacked up the prices.
I have no idea how that happened, but I'd prefer not to have a communist mayor of New York City.
How and why is the President of the United States getting involved in the mayoral race of New York City? It's absolutely insane. Donald Trump posted this. Looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together. President Donald J. Trump. Yes, that is true. Trump has been vying for the Pulitzer Peace Prize, and he might get it because he's provided peace for the other side. He has radicalized all of our enemies onto the same team, which, by the way, folks, this isn't good. This is not a good thing to do. So there are your updates. That's all I got for you. Oh, you know what? I wanted to end on this one nice story. How about this? Let's end on a good, nice story here. This is by Lauren Franco _. She said, the most beautiful, thoughtful proposal by my creative fiance. She posted this, and I'm going to kind of fast forward through it. Last week, I was hired for a commercial for an espresso martini sheet. I received a call sheet, a commercial. Wardrobe breakdown, the story details, everything standard for a shoot like this. I arrived on set, met the full camera crew, and we began shooting. So there she is, getting ready to shoot this commercial. But what happens? As she's about to shoot the commercial, her boyfriend at the time rolls up, surprises her, asks her to stand up, and then it's at that moment that she stands up that he gets to the question.
Very confident of God's plan for us.
So she's taking her shoes off. She knows what this is. Hey, honey, this ain't a commercial. This is your boyfriend raising the bar for all of us chumps out here to do a pretty, amazing proposal. So there he goes. He does his thing. He gets down on a knee.
Lauren Elizabeth Franco, will you marry me?
Oh my God.
She says yes. She said yes. She said yes, folks. Love is still alive. There's your happy ending to an otherwise chaotic week of work here at the Rush Hour Podcast. I hope you love what we're doing, trying to inspire, inform, educate, and entertain, right? How's that for alliteration? Suck on that. So anyhow, if you are leaving your job today angry at your boss or spouse or whoever, maybe your medical company just fired you for an inappropriate TikTok, just remember, as you walk on out, go tell them to go fuck themselves. Have a good weekend. This one's for you. Find that inner child. We'll see you later. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.